He is the modern day Don Nehlen.
But Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
He's bought into the program.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
Let them know. Leave no doubt tonight. Leave no doubt tonight. No doubt. They shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue.
I was watching ESPN today and they showed a little thing about our game tonight in a poll. And the whole U.S. was covered in red. And the only state, the greatest state in the nation, was covered in blue, and that was West Virginia. And that's why we won this game.
Trust the climb.
And now it's time for the Country Roads Webcast.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another edition of the Country Roads Webcast. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, joined by my co-host Steven.
What's up, everybody?
And our other co-host Bradley.
What's up?
All right, gentlemen. So what we're going to go with this episode, I just wanted to bring y'all some early depth chart projections. Rather, if I could talk right, early depth chart projections. But
It's been a minute. We're rusty.
Yeah, it has. A little rusty. Been a minute since we've done a full podcast episode, so definitely a little rusty. But the roster pretty close to finalized now. No, West Virginia may add, a couple more players or whatever. So we're going to do some depth chart projections, just a two deep to make it a little bit more challenging. Just a first and second string at each position. All three of us went through. Haven't talked about it yet, so it's going to be fun to see how that goes. But before we get into that and before we get into WVU news, just figured we could start with some off-topic babble. Just a little bit about what you guys been into this week. Seen any good movies? Just anything you want to touch on, before we get into WVU stuff, just kind of some fun little babble to start off with.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I've actually had a good week. Been at the lake, chilling at the Memorial Day weekend down in Claytor. Been having a good time. Big news for me, though. I'll actually be moving here soon, so moving down to Charlotte, trying to do some opportunities down there. So big thanks for me on the way. So if I'm here or not here, that might be why. So, yeah. That's what I've been up to, man. Just been
awesome. Big moves. Congrats.
Enjoying the summer, making moves.
Congratulations, man. That's
Thanks,
awesome.
I appreciate it. Sounds like we're all having a good time. Steve, what's going on with you?
Well, I'm here, so I obviously don't work at my former employer anymore. I actually started a new job.
Yeah.
So
nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll be able to join you guys a lot more often on here, so that's a big plus.
Yeah, we like more Steven in our content.
Yeah, for sure.
Who doesn't like more Steven in their content,
I mean, come on. Can't get
it makes it that much better.
Yeah.
Got to.
I'm here to please people.
Yeah, things looking up all the way around, for sure. I want to go see that new Top Gun movie. Haven't got a chance to yet, but I'm definitely planning to do that.
I thought you was going to go see it.
So, yeah, man, I was going to, but then, I just waited around too late and then didn't feel like going. Because honestly, I like to go to the matinee, and then if I wait too long, it's not matinee price. I'm like, forget it, because I'm cheapskate, so I didn't, but I had started Stranger Things, though. I've watched like 3 or 4 episodes, and it's great so far.
I was about to say Stranger Things is 2, maybe 3 episodes in, I think.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
I haven't started it yet. I've been at the lake, so I haven't had access to TV.
Well, you need to start Stranger Things, bro.
Oh, I'm going to.
Awesome.
I'm going to.
It's a lot different. This season is a lot different.
They had to
that's
be.
one
They
thing.
missed 2 years because of COVID, so.
Yeah, that's what I said. The show feels a lot different, and I was wondering where they take it, with all the characters, spoiler alert if you haven't seen season 3, but moving in separate directions and stuff and being in separate places. But I like it so far, and if it keeps up the way it is right now through these first few episodes, it might be my favorite season yet. So yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that makes me excited then.
It's got kind of like a Halloween-y feel almost. I stole that from Hannah, by the way. That's what she said.
But no, it does. It does. I agree. It's a
different trajectory of the show,
now,
I feel.
So yeah.
It's very.
Can't wait to get into it.
It's a good show. You need to.
I've been looking forward
Definitely.
to it. I just haven't had a chance to get into it yet.
Oh yeah,
definitely recommend. You guys seen Doctor Strange yet?
Oh, loved it. I loved it. Did you watch it?
Brad, what are you doing, man?
Man, I just haven't had time, man. I'm trying to move. I've had things going on. I told you.
Lord.
Bradley's grinding right now.
It's a great movie. I don't care what all these critics say. I've noticed one thing. Critics, they're pretty opposite when it comes to reviews anymore. Because if I think a movie's good, most of the time the critics don't think so, and the reviews are horrible, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
If I if a movie they think has, they write a good review for, then I'm normally not a big fan of it. I don't know if that's a subconscious thing, but
yeah, no. The most recent movie I watched the last of the Fantastic Beasts series. I watched the Life of Albus Dumbledore.
Oh, nice.
Did you watch the Secrets of Doubt? Oh man,
yeah,
I've been wanting to see that. I
haven't gotten into it.
The second one was an awful movie.
I've been a little resentful because they took Johnny out.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I literally just recently watched like in the past probably like 6 months, watched all the Harry Potters for the first time. I'd never seen them, so I haven't seen any of the Fantastic Beasts yet. But I want to get into it now that I've watched all the Harry Potters and I liked them. So
the second Fantastic Beast is bad. It's horrible. It's worth watching just to get some story stuff, but the movie itself is not good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I enjoy them just for the storyline part of them because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
It's worth if you like the back of it. If you're like a fan of it, then it's good. But
yeah, I'm not as big of a fan as the Fantastic Beasts series, but they're still, like you said, good for the story part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely I feel like if I sit down and watch it, there's not many movies that I absolutely hate. For the most part, I can be entertained, even if it's I'm like, this is bad, but it's so bad it's good, but whatever. But yeah, Doctor Strange, I thought was great. I feel like that it's getting hate on because it's so much different. Like they didn't stick to the typical Marvel movie formula. Like they did something different. It felt like you could tell it was like Sam Raimi. They let him do his thing. It felt like one of the Evil Dead movies. Like literally, that's why I liked it. It had this heavy Sam Raimi.
Yeah, there was a bunch of cuss words. They even threw a GD in there.
Yeah, it was heavy horror vibes. You know me, I'm a horror movie fan, and I love Sam Raimi's Evil Dead movies, so it was right up my alley. So
no doubt,
definitely,
man. No doubt,
definitely. So definitely recommend Doctor Strange. Recommend Fantastic Beasts, and recommend new season of Stranger Things. So it's kind of what we've been doing. Plus new jobs, people move on the move, so things looking up, and
recommend going
looking
to
up for
lake.
WVU too.
It's supposed to be nice the next couple of days. Get outside, get you some sun.
Absolutely, it's that time of year.
Enjoy
we
life.
need it right now in our world. We need to be outside and just after 2 years being locked up,
just kind of get away from things. Yeah, it's good to just get away from things, have a little release, and hopefully this podcast does that for some people as well. Just your little getaway. We talk, just have fun, talk WVU and stuff. So that's the goal. But before we get into our depth chart projections, let's get into the news portion of the show. We'll kick it off with the host of the CRW Hoop Show, bringing us some basketball news. Steven, got any good updates on the basketball side of things?
Got a bunch of news. Just coming out yesterday, or I guess today rather. Pretty early this morning, Rodney Gallagher is interested in playing both WVU football and basketball.
Wow,
for Coach Huggins.
Is hype.
And Coach Huggins is apparently open to the idea as well, so that's pretty exciting news.
Because I think we have one more scholarship for basketball that we could make room for. We could pull one from somebody and have them go to a prep school, which has been talked about. And because I've heard them talk about, we need that one last piece, like that one last piece, and this could be that option. So
I'm telling you, he's no scrub either. He's averaged 18 points a game for his career as well. So
yeah, and Steve and I were talking before this. He was actually known for his basketball in his hometown. That's what made him famous. Yeah. And so he's an amazing basketball player, and watching him play was really impressive. And so if he could come in, and I would say be like a sixth man and play 15 minutes and put up, 15 points and a couple assists, then that would be amazing. So he just decided to go with football because you don't see very many 5'10" basketball players in the NBA. So that is why he chose football in the first place. But I bet he's super excited to just, still stay in the game of basketball.
Yeah. I got a bunch of other stuff. Emmett Matthews obviously is returning to West Virginia. If you haven't heard that news, you've been living under a rock.
That's big.
Trey Mitchell. He's coming from Texas. He's going to provide a great. I think he's going to be He's going to be one of the most, experienced players that West Virginia is going to have. Joe Toussaint transferring from Iowa. I think he's going to be really good for West Virginia. He's not very big. He only stands at 6 foot, 190 pounds. But I read a thing earlier that said that he was pretty much the prototypical guard for Huggins, and I think that holds true. I think if you look back, guards like Truck Bryant, I think he's going to be a guy that kind of fits that mold. Maybe not as wide a shoulder build, but he's not a very big player. He's not going to score a whole bunch, but he's going to play with a lot of heart.
Yeah, he's from New York. Getting back into those New York guys, I've missed that New York toughness.
The next guy, another guy that's very experienced, is Eric Stevenson, and this is going to be his 4th stop. He's played at Wichita State, Washington, third stop. 4th stop, yeah, and South Carolina. Wichita State, Washington, South Carolina last year, and then this year to West Virginia. So he is he's a mobile player, I guess you could
almost
say.
Sounds like a Teddy Buckets.
A Teddy Buckets, yeah.
Who did not get accepted to any other schools. His career has ended. He was looking for another home. And
I hate to hear that. Teddy Buckets
couldn't find one to land in. So he's for sure going overseas and going to find some market in the overseas to play in.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. He'll find a home. He'll be good to watch.
He's Teddy Buckets for a reason.
Oh yeah. And then we got 2. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. Then 2 JUCO players. We got our Jimmy Bill Jr. I think he's going to be a good inside presence for West Virginia. He averaged 9 points and 9 rebounds a game last year, and he also got 1.5 blocks a game last year. Mohamed Wagu is, I think he's going to be that. I've heard a lot of good stuff about this guy. He can blow by defenders. He's quick on a spin move, driving in the lane. So I think that while West Virginia loses a lot of its offensive presence from last year with shooting the ball, they're going to be able to drive to the paint, which is going to bode well for a Huggins coach basketball team because, West Virginia's always, not very. It's not that they can't shoot the ball very well, but they haven't always shot the ball at a very high mark. They've always made their money at driving the ball into the lane or getting it into the big guy. But that's all the transfer news. Another guy that I wanted to mention, though, was Courtney Ramey. There's been a lot of talk about West Virginia reaching out to him. He's another guy from Texas that would really, really provide a lot of quality depth for Eric Stevenson. And so that's one to watch. And I think that if he's going to announce where he's going, I think it's going to be fairly soon. So that's a good name to watch. But other than that, I think that people should keep an eye out for the West Virginia alumni basketball team, Best Virginia, in the TBT. It'll be starting. The West Virginia regional bracket will be starting July 24th. So that'll be on ESPN for everybody that enjoys watching the former West Virginia basketball players like myself. There's a lot of fun guys to watch. Nate Adrian's going to be playing. I think Jawan Staten's going to be playing this year. There's a bunch of fun guys. John Flowers always plays. I think Kevin Jones, obviously, he's probably going to be playing. Yeah, Deshaun Butler, I don't believe will be playing this year. I could be wrong. He might be playing. I thought I heard that he wasn't.
I don't think so. I haven't heard that he is, but hopefully they run through that thing and get the win this time. Hopefully, I'd love to see him come home with that money. All those guys, that'd be great. So definitely look out for that.
They've had some good runs in the past couple of years, and then last year I think was the year that they unfortunately had to. I don't guess forfeit's the right word, but COVID hindered their chances of getting any place into that tournament last year.
That just means it's going to be a bounce back this year. So excited to see it. Excited for those players joining the WVU basketball team. And I think it's going to be a good turnaround season for Coach Huggins and those guys. So I appreciate the basketball news there from Steven. That being said, let's bump it over to some recruiting news with the CRW recruiting man with the plan. Bradley, what do you got for us on the recruiting front?
So recruiting's been pretty exciting right now. We've had, of course, Rodney Gallagher, which Steven's already talked about, and I'm sure everybody's heard about. So, of course, getting him is a huge deal. I talked about him in one of my previous videos and about how we might invest in him monetarily and give him some NIL money. And it seems like WVU, I think the rumor is that there's a lot of rumors going around that WVU may have paid like $500,000 or $200,000 or I don't know, some amount of money to get Rodney Gallagher. I wouldn't be surprised if WVU did offer Rodney Gallagher some kind of money because we're in a position where we can do that. Like we are a good program and people want to, say, oh, West Virginia paid him. We're in the position to do that. And that's the game right now. And I'm not going to feel bad for, doing exactly what everybody else is doing and making which I complain about a lot, tampering and selling players off money to people with money is rubbing me wrong. But, telling a kid that we've recruited for 4 years that, hey, we can even give you some money now to help you out. And, I don't think that Rodney Gallagher is in it for the money. I think that he was here for the family, and I think that that's what we really want. So, people can say what they want to say about the money, but he came here because he really likes it here. A really important date for the Mountaineers coming up is going to be this weekend of June 3rd. We've got a lot of recruits coming down. And in that, I know we've got I got it up here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so I know we've got a big one to keep an eye on, which is probably going to be the biggest name this weekend, is going to be James Hurd Jr., which is a guy out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's a 4-star athlete. His top schools are Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia. He's visiting on a weekend where we have a lot of big recruits coming in. And Rodney Gallagher himself, I think, is supposed to be here this weekend, and he's going to be recruiting these guys very, very hard. So that's a 4-star commit that we might see lock down a decision date. He's really liked West Virginia University, so I think we've got a good chance of locking him down. I even think we're crystal balled for James Hurd right now. So definitely a 4-star athlete that's going to bump up our class even more. The other one I really want to focus on here, and I talked about him in my video with Rodney Gallagher, and that's Joel Starlings. He's a defensive lineman. He's a big dude, stands out on the field. He's massive. He would really fit well in West Virginia University's defense. We have a history of great linemen. You go back to Bruce Irvin, you got Darius, there's countless Mountaineer linemen that you can think of that have made their name. So he's a guy that would really flourish here. He is actually currently committed to UNC. That was kind of out of nowhere. I felt like that was kind of quick because I'd been following his Twitter a lot, and he had shown a lot of love to – I actually thought he was considering Oklahoma because he was always tweeting out Oklahoma stuff. And then out of nowhere, he commits to UNC, which is a great school, but it just seemed a little quick. He's still going to – I think he's still going to keep his visit this weekend. He was supposed to visit this weekend, and there's rumors that he still might visit, and I think he will. So he's really close with Rodney Gallagher, and I think that this is a guy that Rodney Gallagher is really going to be in his ear and trying to talk him up. But, yeah, we've got a couple more 4-stars. I'm not going to name them all in this bit, but I might do a recruiting video on this weekend coming up soon anyway. So, yeah, it's an exciting time to be a Mountaineer, and it's shaping up to be one of the best classes that Neil Brown's ever had and that we've ever seen at West Virginia University. I mean, getting Rodney Gallagher was the first domino to fall in a long chain of events that's going to really shock Mountaineer Nation. So,
yeah, I disagree with that statement. I think that Nico Markiel was that domino, the first domino anyway.
It probably was, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like recruiting kicked up like that kind of was like started and it's been kicking up even more ever since. And then now it's just climbing because, Markiel was one of the highest quarterbacks, top 30 recruit, but then you get Gallagher, the following year, who's, the 6th highest recruit WVU's ever had. So it's just like continues to build. And if they continue to do it, it's going to be impressive. I put a thing up on our Instagram. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but if you're not following us on Instagram, we're on there now. Check us out, Country Roads Webcast, by the way. But just quarterback, wide receiver that's going to be, WVU's leading ones in the next few years. Nico Markiel, Rodney Gallagher, and Caden Prather. All 3 were top 30 recruits in WVU history. I think Caden Prather's top 15, Gallagher, as I said, 6th, and Nico's right there, in the 20s. So, and that's just those guys. And then you also had Wyatt Milam, who was like the 7th rated recruit in WVU history. I think when you look at the top 25 recruits in WVU history, like 5 of them have been Neil Brown recruits. So, I mean, what is that? 20% almost, of the recruits in the top 25, and he's only been here 4 years. So I think it's going to continue to build, and I'm really excited about where recruiting's at right now.
Yeah, that's super. It's definitely trending upwards from here. And I think that, Mountaineer Nation has started to recognize that. And so I think that's only going to go up and up and up.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, like recruiting is a domino effect in and of itself. I mean, like if you get better recruits, then that just only bodes well for the future recruits that you get, from there on out. I'm pretty sure that JT Daniels was, it wasn't the only thing that affected his decision, but I'm pretty sure that, Will Greer coming to West Virginia was, right. I'm pretty sure he said that it was some part of his decision at least. So those things lead to better recruits in the future. So.
Yeah, definitely. So that's some good recruit news. Great news. Potential program changing news for West Virginia this week. I appreciate Bradley bringing the recruiting news. I'll flip it over to the football side, talk about some WVU football news. But before I get into WVU centric stuff, I wanted to talk about a couple things more broader picture, NCAA and conference wise, and that was the couple rule changes the NCAA dropped recently. One being no more divisions are required for conferences once they're above a certain amount of teams. Don't have to do divisions, can just have your top 2 teams play for your conference championship game, which, as we know, the Big 12's kind of had that going already. But now the teams with the larger number of teams in their conferences with the larger number of teams in there, don't have to do that anymore as well. And I think Oregon's already said they're going to go. I mean, not Oregon. The Pac-12 said they're already going to go ahead and implement this right away and just go to. I think they're doing like a pod type system. So a lot of conferences are going to do pod type systems, or what they're calling the 3-3-5 system, which is essentially you have 3 projected matchups each year that you'll play every year in your conference, and then the other 5 games will rotate, and then the other 3 games being your non-conference games. So that's big, I think, moving forward, especially for the Big 12. Pretty much solidifies that it won't be divisions when the Big 12 adds these new teams in 2023. It'll probably be either the pod system or you'll have 3 protected matchups. So that's interesting. And then the other one being that recruiting-wise, teams can now stay at the scholarship limit of 85. Instead of having, in the past, you had a class where you capped it at 25. You only had 25 commits you could get. Now you can keep your roster at 85 scholarship players at any time. So if you're at 85, lose 3 players to the transfer portal, you have 3 more scholarships. You can go out and get 3 more players. That's big moving forward, I think, here in college football, and something West Virginia can utilize and teams can utilize right away, really, because I think technically the rule doesn't go into effect until July, but with the way that you can borrow from next year's classes anyway, people can go ahead and start utilizing that. So West Virginia technically filled up their scholarship limit, but we've seen them add an extra player already, and they may still add 1 or 2 more now with this new rule change. So that's big college football wise.
Yeah, and on that, hold on that, you also got to think about the fact that Neil Brown, coming into a rebuild, has had to deal with the fact that he could not have more than 25 scholarship players until recently, and we just now hit that 85 scholarship limit. So in the past 4 years, like, we have not even gotten close to that limit. I think it was at 50 something when Neil Brown first came in.
Yeah, low 50s,
and
mid 50s.
Yeah, that was just unacceptable. And so you think about the fact that he's had to deal with this limited rule. Like, this is the rule that's been limiting him since he's been here. Had this been taken away 2 years ago, Neil Brown probably has this team in shape at that moment, Right. So it's just crazy to, something else to think about when people, hound on Neil Brown is the fact that, we just now hit that 85 scholarship limit,
Yeah. That's what I've been saying to people a lot, is like this year right now is when you're really just going to see like the tip of the iceberg of Neil Brown's program, because he's had the chance to weed out players and stuff. Maybe in the beginning he had to go with certain players he didn't know that really fit the culture or not, but now he's got the point where he can kind of make sure that players fit the culture. He's got that culture established, and he has pretty much all of his players. This year will be the last year that he has, recruits from the previous regime, but next year will be completely his players. So pretty much his program now. And this year, I think, is when we're really going to start to see how that looks moving forward. So I think it's going to be a big year. And I love the rule. I think it's a few years too late, probably, since, the transfer portal came in, a couple years ago or whatever, but at least they finally got around to doing something to helping these teams that are being poached with transfers and things like that. So good for scholarships. More West Virginia football related news. One thing I did want to point out is, JT Daniels was announced to be signed by Country Roads Trust, West Virginia's NIL collective group. I think we all kind of expected that, but it was made official recently, and I think he's doing actually a camp through Country Roads Trust, kind of starting off was one of his first things. I'm sure we'll hear about other NIL deals for the now Mountaineer quarterback who has officially enrolled now, but that was one that I wanted to point out. Other than that, West Virginia football news related is game times have been announced for the first 4 games of the 2022 season and 2 others. And those will be, of course, the first game of the season opener on Thursday, September 1st against Pitt on the road. And that'll be at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Second game of the season will be the home opener, and that'll be Saturday, September 10th against Kansas, 6 p.m. on ESPN+.
It's a night game.
Then finally
a good night
next
game.
Week.
I mean, LIU was also a night game,
Yeah, but it was like at 5-ish. It was like not
sorry.
dark yet. Yeah. So then the next week, West Virginia plays Towson, also at home, and that'll be Saturday, September 17th. That's also on ESPN+, but it'll be kicking off at 1 p.m. And then 4th game of the season on the road at Virginia Tech, another primetime spot on ESPN on a Thursday night, September 22nd. That one kicking off at 7:30. Then 2 other game times, 1 game time and 1 network announced. Thursday, another Thursday night contest for West Virginia, another night game for the Mountaineers against Baylor, 7 p.m. on FS1. And then later on in the season, November 26th, the game at Oklahoma State will be on ESPN, but the time is to be announced. So home opener is a night game, will be Neil Brown's first night game as head coach in Morgantown. So it took him 4 years to finally get one, but he does get one, and we'll have at least 2 also. So you get the Kansas game and then the Baylor game, both being night games at home. So finally some night games for Neil Brown, and getting the kickoff time.
At least 2, and you're playing 4. I mean, off the rip. So I mean, you get primetime spots to prove your worth.
Yep.
I think
Yeah, somebody in West Virginia's athletic department is fighting tooth and nail to get those night games. They're like, well, we can put them on a Thursday, and it's like, whatever, fine, give it to us. I don't care. It's like, just stop giving us noon games.
I know I've seen a lot of people complaining about the Thursday, but I'm actually excited for it because it's like the Big East days. We always had those great weeknight games, and we really made a great run through those years. So for me, it's like nostalgic, and I'm hoping we can like recapture some of that magic from those old Big East games when we played, on the weeknights.
Yeah, no doubt. I think because the Thursday night games have mostly been filled with like, the MAC games and the WAC games.
Yeah, true.
Like the Boise States and like those types of games, and like Houston would play on Thursday night or somebody like those types of teams. But if West Virginia can, if West Virginia and Pitt are playing on a Thursday night and West Virginia and Virginia Tech are playing on a Thursday night, that's more prime time than any of those games are going to be. So.
You're gonna have all the eyes on you, especially that season opener, because that's like one of the first games of the season. Because you're 2 days ahead
that's one of
everybody else is playing.
It is the first game of the season against Pitt. Is the first game of the football year.
That's what I thought. I didn't know if there was any earlier that week or not or what. But
no, we are the
first. A lot of lists out there that have that as one of the most notable games of the entire football year.
Oh, it's
right
huge.
now.
Yeah. Huge game.
I saw top 5 non-conference games, and we were 2 out of the top 5.
Yeah.
Weird. So it was either Pitt or Virginia Tech. I think it was Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, supposed to play, or maybe Pitt was playing Florida State or something like that. It was also up there. Yeah. Well, no, because that's ACC, so that's still.
Well, I know Texas and Alabama play third week of the season. I think that'll probably be a good. I'm sure that one's up there. So yeah, but Pitt and West Virginia, everyone knows the backyard brawl. They're excited about it, and especially with Pitt coming off the season that they were, and we're thinking West Virginia's about to turn the corner. This is a really not only is it the backyard brawl returning, but man, it's just huge. Well, and West Virginia's next 2 games are Kansas and Towson. So if you beat Pitt, you probably starting 3-0.
Yeah, I don't want to count my chickens. You know what I mean?
I mean, me neither. But if we lose to Kansas and Towson, it's not going to be the season I think it's going to be.
Yeah, we got a better chance now than what we had maybe 3 months ago. So
yeah, very true, very true. That Jordan Addison news, sorry, Pitt fans, but I was very excited about that one. That turned things for me for sure. I mean, I know Pitt's defense is still going to be good and stuff, but I think West Virginia's chances have went up a lot with the addition of JT Daniels and then Pitt losing Jordan Addison. So, and both of Pitt's quarterbacks, if you've seen their spring game, game, Keaton Slovis did not look good in their spring game. He's not used to that pro style offense, I don't think. So, I mean, he may get it going and get into a rhythm, through training camp, but neither one of their quarterbacks looked that great in their spring game. So, I think it's just a matter of if our offense can find ways to score on their defense. So, Graham Harrell's and JT Daniels going to be tested right away, but that's what's going to decide the game, I think.
I would limit it to even more than that. I would say it's literally going to be a game between our offensive line and their defensive line. Their defensive line is returning.
Let's not get into a game preview yet because
it's a little far out, but their defensive line is stout. They've been top 5 in the nation in sacks 2 years in a row or something like that, I think. So yeah, our offensive line is going to be tested right away, but have faith in this offensive line. So that's first game of the season. We're a little bit way far out from that, but we can talk about who we think is going to line up. And the starting positions for the Mountaineers from way too far out are way too early depth chart projections, but rosters pretty much nearly finalized. So I figured it'd be a fun time to run through this. Just doing a 2 deep at each position. So first and second string at each spot. We'll just start it off at the top with quarterback. Whoever wants to take it first. Who's your first string quarterback? Who's your second string quarterback?
I'll go first, I guess. I got JT 1, and I actually got Goose 2.
Ooh. Interesting. That's what I like about this. Is it's going to be interesting to see who we all put as like the second at positions where they have 3 or 4.
It's no knock on Gigi. I like Garrett Green, but I just think that I don't know. I really think Goose showed out in the spring game, and I really think that he showed why West Virginia put him on scholarship in the first place. And I think that he's got a chip on his shoulder a little bit, even though they don't have any animosity. I think they have a tight knit group in the quarterback room.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got a good feeling about Goose.
I like it. Bradley, what do you got? You got the same? You got something different? What's your 1 and 2?
So I would say that it goes JT Daniels, obviously. And then I'm going an or situation, and I'm going to say Nico Markiel or Goose Crowder.
Oh, he took the or. Oh, my goodness.
I think Nico redshirts, though. You think Nico's
I
not
wanted to do
redshirt?
that. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think
he might still redshirt.
Well, yeah, that's what, because I'm going to tell you right now, I have JT
could
one,
play,
and
right.
I have Nico too. So I think that Nico, I think he's going to continue to get better and better. He's a freshman, just going to take a while. But what I like about that situation is JT is probably going to ride out as your starter all season, and Nico can play in up to 4 games, and still redshirt. So potentially he can get in some mop up duty, or if something happens, JT gets knocked out for a play or something, he can come in for 4 games. So I think you could utilize him as your backup quarterback and still redshirt him potentially. So I think if it comes down to where he has to lose his redshirt, then maybe you'd see Garrett Green or Goose. But I don't know. I like Nico a lot, so I got him second. Just,
I also like
hoping,
Nico.
I guess.
To be honest with you, I forget that they can play in up to 4 games with that red shirt. So I was only really taking that into account.
I think going into this, I think the reason why I choose I think going into the spring game, I was expecting Garrett Green to come out as the definite number 2. And after watching it, I think that it's going to come down to I think Goose thinks that he might be able to beat Nico, and I think Nico knows that he's the future. So I think that that's why those two are battling it out.
Definitely. That's the most interesting thing about this to me is throughout the spring, I think, all 3 of us would have probably agreed Garrett Green's looking like, the starting quarterback, through the spring, everybody in the coaches were saying he was looking good. And then just how quickly the spring game changed things and, things we saw. And, we all kind of think Goose is ahead of him now and Nico's got the best potential. So it's almost like he's kind of feeling like odd man out in some ways, but wouldn't be surprised to see him actually be the backup.
Yeah. They say it's weird because Garrett Green was so good throughout the spring. They're like, it was so weird that he was bad, but sometimes that's just what happens. You get underneath that pressure and you crack.
Yeah.
And and Neil Brown said that this is a final and it means more. So if it means more, is that why we're, Garrett Green's
That's true. That's true. It's the final exam, they said. So interesting. See how quarterback plays out. JT Daniels definitely going to be the starter. We all agree for sure. I'm sure they're going to say it's a competition, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't him. And we'll see who ends up as second string. But next position we're going to go on is running back. I'll kick this one off first. I went first string Tony Mathis. I think that's almost a given at this point with the good things that's been said about him. Second string's where it gets interesting because I think you got 4 guys that are going to play. But I went with Dixon. I just love his breakaway speed. He's going to give West Virginia the home run ability they haven't had in a long time. I think he's going to break some big plays. So I really like and I put him second string. What about you, Brad?
I think Tony Mathis is number 1. I think he's really shown the explosiveness and the hard running that we really love to see in a West Virginia running back. He excites me. Anytime he touches the ball, I get excited. So I definitely got Tony Mathis number 1. Number 2, I think it's Justin Johnson, and I think it's probably Justin Johnson by a good bit right now. They've talked about Dixon just like not necessarily getting to the weight that the staff wants, and that might show like a lack of commitment to it. And Justin Johnson's a 4-star athlete. I mean, he was one of the best recruits in our class last year, if not the best recruit in our class last year. Might be behind Caden Prather, but great recruit, 4-star, I'm pretty sure, last year. So we've heard good things about him, and I think that he's ready and he's hungry and he's willing to do it. And, Dixon was some good competition to come in here and really push him. So I think that that's probably only made him better. So I think that he's my solid number 2. And then Jalen and Lynn are battling out for the extra reps. I do think we'll see all 4 though, but I think that
I think all 4 will play for sure. I mean, that's what I said. They're going to play some 2 running back sets, I feel like, too. So it'll definitely be easy to get all 4 of them on the field when they're using 2 at one time. So definitely, don't disagree that Justin Johnson probably right now is the favorite to be that second spot. I'm just kind of projecting that maybe Lynn J has a good camp or something, I guess. But Stephen, what about you? What do you got first and second string running back?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think we're going to see a lot of different rotations of backs this year. But you got to go with Tony Mathis number 1, and I would go Lynn J. Dixon number 2. I would actually argue that I don't know. I think Lynn J is going to surprise a lot of people this year. I think that he might get a lot more reps. I think that he might maybe not as equal amount of reps as Tony Mathis, but I don't think that he's going to be swapped out as often as a lot of these other guys are going to be swapped out.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be able to be utilized just as much as Tony Mathis in a lot of situations.
Yeah, Tony Mathis he's really came on and impressed me because I thought when we landed Lynn J. Dixon, I was like, okay, that's Letty Brown's replacement. But then, Tony Mathis had the end of the season that he did and has really came on strong. So, if I was doing this show at the end of last season, I would have said, Lynn J. Dixon. But now Tony Mathis is definitely the guy, and toss up for, who gets, the next most carries, I guess, after that. But let's talk about the guys outside. West Virginia lost some wide receivers to the transfer portal, brought some in, bringing in some JUCOs. A little thin there in the spring, but as I said, the JUCOs coming in the summer, and you got some young guys that can contribute there. But you have three solid guys you got to think in Bryce Ford Wheaton, Sam James, and Caden Prather. But let's look at them by position, starting with the X wide receiver. Who do you got there, first and second string, Bradley, at the X wide receiver?
Okay, I've obviously got Bryce Ford Wheaton starting. I think that we know there's a pretty strong three-man group of our wide receivers with Bryce Ford Wheaton, Sam James, and Caden Prather. So I think that, all of us are going to have Bryce Ford Wheaton starting. After that's when it starts getting funky, because we got this top three, and then the rest behind them are really just battling it out to see who's going to get play time. Yeah. But I think playing behind Bryce Ford Wheaton is probably going to be a toss-up between Jerrell Williams and Preston Fox. I think Jerrell Williams is going to be used in a lot of different ways, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him pop up in another spot as well.
Him enrolling early helped him a lot, I think, for sure, to get ahead of the curve and get his foot in the door and maybe potentially serve as the second stringer there for sure. He's definitely in the competition. But what about you, Stephen? Who do you got first, second string, X wide receiver?
Yeah, I think you can't argue with BF'd up going first string. I'll probably put Jerrell Williams at my 2 spot, but Cortez Bram is also a guy to watch for. I think that he's also going to see a lot of playing time. And I think
I haven't heard much from him once he gets on campus.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard. Kind of hard to judge.
He's kind of hard to judge, but he's talented from the film that you've seen from him. So, but I would put Jerrell Williams in there. Preston Fox, though, obviously.
Preston Fox is the wild card for sure.
Yeah, I think it's if he can just do it. Yeah, can he do it against number ones? Is all that is the question.
I mean, he's showing a lot of heart, and I mean that usually is the main ingredient. So if he can keep on the track that he's on right now, I think that kid's gonna be special.
For sure. X wide receiver. Too. Yeah, definitely. I think well, he's earned it for sure. He's gonna have the opportunities to see if he can get up there, and he's definitely in the competition, for that second string spot. For me at X wide receiver, I went Bryce Ford Wheaton first string, of course. Agree with you guys. I think, like as we said, the top three is kind of pretty much solidified, and he's definitely one of those. Second string, I went Cortez Bram, actually. I think Jerrell Williams has potential to factor in there, but I like the junior college experience. I'm pretty high on both those JUCO guys. More specifically, Jeremiah Aaron than Cortez Bram, but I think Cortez Bram's a guy that can play on the outside, more and more of a possession guy, whereas Jeremiah Aaron's more quick twitch, might fit in the slot a little better. Don't know if he'll be there right away, but I think that's where his future is. Today, Junior. But I like Bram there, but I think there's definitely a lot of guys to factor in. Let's talk about that slot position, though. Important position in Graham Harrell's offense. That Y receiver in the slot has done big things there. We've seen Drake London at USC have an awesome year, a high draft pick last year. I'll kick it off. I'm say Sam James, first string there. That's my guy. I think it's going to be the best year of his career this year. I know we all loved what he did his freshman year. I think he's going to top that this year, playing in that Y spot in this Graham Harrell offense. So I'm really excited about that. Got him first string, second string, Reese Smith. I like Reese a lot. I think he catches everything. Going to be a good third down guy to go to. Faster than people realize, I think, as well. He'll have a chance to maybe showcase that this year. Some hopefully, and definitely a guy moving forward after, Sam James moves on, that's going to play a big part in West Virginia's future. But what about you guys? Wide receiver? What do you think, Stephen?
I agree with you, Sam James and Reese Smith, but I also think Grayson Malashevitz might see some time at that position as well. I do. Bradley,
got anything different?
No, I think I'm going to go with Sam James. Obviously, he's going to start. And then, I think all three of those guys after that can play. But I really think that we might see a little Garrett Green here. So, little GG in the Y action. So, I think he might get tossed in there with that rotation. If not, I think Garrett Green might be gone. So,
yeah, kind of feeling that way right now. But we'll see where it lays. I would love to see him make the switch and get on the field for sure. Okay, last wide receiver spot, the Z wide receiver on the other side of the field. What are you thinking here, Bradley? I'll let you kick this one off first.
Of course, I'm going Caden Prather, number one. Everybody's talking big about him. He's exciting, and he's got a lot of eyes on him this year. So I hope he really lives up to that expectation. And he could really make a name for himself this year. He's got a lot of young, hungry guys coming in behind him. You got, West Virginia is still recruiting wide receivers pretty heavily in the class of 2023. So, Rodney Gallagher is going to be coming in to fill in after Sam James probably. But, Caden Prather's got to prove himself this year. A lot of eyes are on him, and I think he's going to live up to it. So he's definitely my number one. Number two, I think this is where we're going to see Jerrell Williams really shine. I think he's going to be the guy that goes in there and he's tall, he's lanky. He can go out there and, outrun guys and get down the field and make those big catches. So I think this is where we're definitely going to see Jerrell Williams shine. Even though I do have him playing some at the X, I think he's going to find more of his home here at the Y. At the Z.
Yeah, I've got Caden Prather at the 1. I think that, through this receiving core, like you said, we're pretty much going to agree on all the 1s. But on the 2s is where it gets choppy. I've actually got Cortez Bram as my 2 on this one. So while Cruz has him at the X position, I have him at the Z position.
A lot of those guys are going to be,
interchangeable. When it gets to the 2 and 3 deep, they're all going to be interchangeable and they're all going to play different positions. But yeah,
absolutely. I agree with you guys. Caden Prather at the 1 for sure. I went Jeremiah Aaron at the 2 just because, like I said, I think he's more of a fit inside receiver, but I think by need he's going to play some outside starting out. So, and I really like Jeremiah Aaron, so I wanted to get him on here somewhere. So I'll put him here at the Z, second string. But I almost went Jerrell Williams, almost went Preston Fox, but I like Jeremiah Aaron, had to have him on the depth chart somewhere, so I'll put him here at Z. All right, moving on right along. Let's talk tight end now. Got some new additions there with Brian Polende. Got some guys coming in the summer, Corbin Page and such, and then of course some guys you added last year, Traylon Davis, Victor Wickstrom, and the like. First string, I went Mike O. Second string, I went Brian Polende. Almost flipped those because I think Polende's got a chance to overtake that first string spot with where Mike O's been out with injury. I think Polende's a great blocker, but he's shown some things in the pass game. But I think when Mike O comes back, he's a little bit more athletic and can do a little bit more in the pass game. So I think he'll still take back that first string spot. So I went Mike O'Laughlin, followed by Brian Polende second. Stephen, what about you at tight end?
See, I'm the same as you, but see, I think that I think the season will start off with Mike O at number 1 with Brian Polende 2. But I think I'm thinking Brian Polende is going to take that position over because I don't know. To me, it seems like he would give the offense a new dynamic. Being able to throw to their tight end, and like we've touched on before, I think if you can add both of those guys into the mix at the same time, that's going to provide a lot of different options for your offense. So I don't know. I think I'm going to say Brian Polende 1 and Mike O 2.
Oh, I like it. Interesting. Bradley, what about you? What you got at tight end?
Yeah, I think that they're both just going to play an equal amount of time. I think that they're both good players, and we're going to see a lot of tight end action this year, I think. So I think that we do have a pretty stacked tight end group there, but from what I've heard, nobody else is really ready to step into those, playing roles just yet. We might see a little bit of Corbin Page or something like that a little bit later on. But yeah, I think that these two guys are just going to be splitting it 60-40, 50-50. Yeah. Just depending on who we're playing that week, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think right now, West Virginia with I think Mike O's a senior or junior. I'm pretty sure he's a senior though. I know Polende's a senior. So, both those guys in this year, Page, like you said, you might see him in spots. I think he'll redshirt, but you can still see him in, like I said, up to those 4 games. But I think Page is extremely talented. I think he's the future of the position moving forward, probably following this year. So excited about him. Definitely glad you mentioned him. But let's talk about some more big guys and even bigger guys as we move down here to the front, to the offensive line. The area that really, as we all know, needed improvement. We think that it has improved with all these guys coming back. But starting off on the left side, left tackle, first string, second string, left tackle. What are you talking about there, Bradley?
So I'm going to go pretty basic with all these linemen. I think that it's pretty well known that we have our starting 5. We got a battle for that 5-6 in that 5-6 spot. And then we've got 2 guys that are 7 and 8 that kind of back up pretty well, that are ready to play. And then after that, it's just kind of up for a toss-up. So left tackle, obviously I'm starting Wyatt Milam, lefty. They moved him over from last year on the words of Coach Moore. He wanted to hold him back and not rush him into that left tackle position. So we'll see if he actually thrives there this year. After that, on the left tackle, I think that they've had Chris Mayo behind him. I know that Jaquay Hubbard, I think they definitely have this certain thing where they're trying to keep linemen on the same side of the field. So I think Jaquay Hubbard is focused on the right-hand side. And I think Chris Moe's worked at left guard until they move him out to left tackle. So I think that's probably going to be our number 2 out there. It could be Jaquay Hubbard, though, if he's not starting on the other side, or Brandon Yates. So whoever's not starting on the other side of the line is probably also the backup there.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. I think that I have the exact same thing as you. I have Wyatt Milam and Chris Mayo. Wyatt Milam's a given, as we said, one of the highest rated recruits, especially all highest rated offensive linemen West Virginia's ever pulled in recruiting wise. Showed last year he was a great player, freshman All-American. Moving over to the left tackle this season, so feel a lot better about the quarterback's blind side. And then I like Chris Mayo. He was a high rated recruit as well in his own right.
4-star.
Hasn't really
recruit.
showed that yet, but I think that he's on his way to. I think it's just taking some time to develop, but I think he's going to get on the field this season in a reserve role, and who knows what the future holds. So, yeah, I like Mayo.
Yeah, they talk about taking that step a lot, which is very fitting for linemen, but they're always talking about taking that step. A lot of these guys have got to take that step.
Definitely. Stephen, what about you? Me and Bradley got the same. You got the same 1 and 2. You got something different?
Yeah, I was going to say we don't got to waste a whole lot of time on that one because I got the same as you guys on that one.
You can have the next one. You can.
Right, no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Touched all the good topics.
Yeah, go ahead. Kick us off left guard then, Stephen. First and second string. What do you got?
Obviously, you got to go James Gamitter. Like I said, like Bradley said, sorry, that all of these ones are going to be set in stone. There's not going to be much movement until, forced to move, once the season starts. But number 2, I got Jordan White. I think that he's going to be provide quality depth, and I think that the line as a whole is going to provide, have a lot of quality depth with, a lot of guys have played multiple positions along this line, and I think that makes them, all the more versatile.
Definitely. I agree with you, James Gamitter first. Second, I wanted to go Jordan White as well, but I've got him in a couple spots on the line, so I didn't want to have him in all 3. So I went Nick Malone. I think Nick Malone's a guy that's really came on, hometown guy. So went with Nick Malone second string there. So I got James Gamitter, Nick Malone, but I definitely think if it came down to it and something happened to Gamitter, it would be Jordan White that took over there for sure. But Bradley, what about you?
Yeah, their left guard, obviously, is James Gamitter. I think Jordan White is going to be my number 2 at center. So I'm, for the sake of just being different, I think that the left guard spot is actually going to be one of the upcoming freshmen. Okay. And I think that might be, I'm honestly not too sure who it might be. I was trying to look it through just to check and see who I wanted it to be, but I'll tell you in a second. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of the upcoming freshmen. And you ask me a second, I'll tell you who I think it is.
Okay. All right. Think about it and then let it come to you and come with it.
Okay, I'll let you know. You keep going, and I'll just randomly interrupt, and I'll tell you.
Okay, all right. Who's going to be the backup left guard? Sounds good. We'll be waiting. Yeah. We'll be waiting on it. Center, I think it's a given. Zach Frazier, so that's my number 1. Second string, that's one of the spots that I have Jordan White. So Jordan White, second string center behind Zach Frazier. Stephen, what about you there at center?
See, I got Zach Frazier 1, but I don't know. Like Tyler Connolly, I haven't heard a lot about this kid.
Yeah,
but
I think he's a former walk-on, but I know he was repping there before they started giving Jordan White reps there, so he would definitely be, I think, the one, if not for Jordan White, I think.
To be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about that position. I haven't looked at the 2 spot on that one. There's so many different guys that fluctuate through that offensive line, past that one position.
Definitely. I think they had Brandon Yates even taking some snaps at center in the spring. So definitely they're,
they've been emphasizing multi-positionality. They've been let's make sure everybody can play everywhere, which has been beneficial, I think.
That helps, especially when you get in the season, injuries come up, things like that for sure. Bradley, what about you at center? Got anything different?
Center, yeah, obviously it's Zach Frazier. That guy is the heart and soul of our whole entire team, probably. After that, Jordan White. And I think that's been the guy that's really sank into that role and has played the most center, I'm pretty sure. And I think he played center in the Golden Blue game too. Outside of that, I would also look for Landing Livingston. He's an upcoming freshman, and I'm going to put him there in the 3rd string. I think that he's a guy that they're kind of grooming to be their center. He's got a big personality, loves the Mountaineers, and I think that's the kind of guy. He's got a good head on him, so I think that's the kind of guy that you want playing center. So I wouldn't be surprised, if we needed, something happened to Zach Frazier, the guy backing up Jordan White, Probably wouldn't be an upcoming freshman, but that's a guy that we could see, them talk about at the center position. I just wanted to bring him up. I like Landon, so.
No, I do too. I think he's definitely got a bright future. Moving right along, offensive line, right guard. I went Doug Nestor, and I went Jordan White again, second string. I think Jordan White literally is probably the second string at left guard, center, and right guard. If you ask me, if anything was to happen to any one of those guys, I feel like Jordan White's, just the sixth lineman. Whenever they need someone else, it's going to be Jordan White. I think he's really talented. So Doug Nestor, Jordan White there for me. Steven, what about you?
We're at the right tackle position, right?
Right guard.
Right guard, sorry. Yeah, see, I went one forward. I got Doug Nestor and Jordan White as well.
Bradley?
Yeah, I got Doug Nestor, and for the sake of being different, because I'm trying to not double up on Jordan White. It's Jordan White, obviously. But then at this spot, I think is where you have Nick Malone. And on the left guard spot,
I like Nick Malone.
Maurice Hamilton would be the guy that I would pick.
Good one.
Big, thick guy.
Mo.
He's 6'4". Yeah, he's huge. I wouldn't be surprised to see if we put him in there to get that run game really going. So I think that's where he's going to find his future in the Mountaineer.
He's definitely got the size to play as a freshman. He's definitely ready.
Yeah. He's definitely not going to have the body right yet, but if he gets to the gym a little bit in a year, he might be a good replacement for James Committer when he's gone.
For sure. So the one spot on the offensive line that has a little bit of intrigue that's not, we're all going to definitely have the same first stringer is right tackle, where the battle is kind of ongoing. Brandon Yates, Jaquay Hubbard there, for sure, battling to see who's going to start. They've kind of went back and forth. We saw the left tackle was kind of the weak spot of the Mountaineers' offensive line last year. They moved Wyatt Milam over there to try to solidify that. Brandon Yates, who was the starter there, now at the right side, along with Jaquay Hubbard, who transferred from Virginia, didn't really get in the action last year until late in the game. But now he's battling. So what do you guys think they're at right tackle? Who you got first string, second string, Bradley?
Yeah, so this one, like you said, is the most intrigue on the offensive line. And I'm going to go with Jaquay Hubbard. Brandon Yates has been battling for this position for granted, he was in left tackle and battled for that, and then he didn't do great last year, and he's been moved over this year, but he just hasn't been able to really solidify his spot. And so I think that it's just a mental thing, and I think Jaquay Hubbard's worked really hard. He's changed his body, he's putting in the effort, and so I think when it comes to it, he's going to be the guy to take that step, like what we mentioned earlier. I think he's going to be the guy to take that step, and it'll be Jaquay Hubbard number 1 and Brandon Yates number 2. If he doesn't transfer out, I hope he doesn't transfer out. If he does transfer out, then I think it will be Doug Nestor in that spot. So
I like it. I think so. That's something that definitely is a wild card. There is potentially, if they wanted to, they could slide Doug Nestor out to the right tackle, move Jordan White in at right guard. If you feel like Jordan White's in your top 5 offensive linemen more so than Brandon Yates and Jaquay Hubbard. So I definitely think that's something interesting. I went Brandon Yates 1, Jaquay Hubbard 2. I think you can go either way there. It's going to go back and forth throughout the season, maybe even we'll see what happens in fall camp. But I stuck with Yates for now, just because he has the starting experience. So I kind of just leaned into that. Steven, what about you at right tackle?
Yeah, I went Jaquay Hubbard at 1 and Brandon Yates at 2.
I just feel like if he was going to do it, he would have done it by now.
Yeah, that's true. Indeed. Well, interesting. We'll see how that plays out. That's all for the offensive side. We're going to flip over to the defense. We'll try and push through these here so we don't keep you guys too long listening. But defensive tackle, we'll kick it off with Dante Steele is my first string. Second string, I think there's a lot of guys you could put there. I went Jalen Thornton. I think, as we all know, his dad, John Thornton, was a stud at West Virginia. It's in the bloodline. You got 2 legacy guys there for me. So I went Dante Steele and Jalen Thornton. What about you at defensive tackle, Brad?
Yeah, I think that this is another one of those positions like offensive line where we've got our set 4 or 5 guys and who they're going to be playing with. So it's going to be Dante Steele at number 1. And, yeah, I agree with you, Jalen Thornton. But I think that they also really like Zachary Lawton, so he'll get in there some. Yeah. But, yeah. Also, Hammond Russell. That guy's gotten a lot of speaking if he's recovered from his injury.
Definitely. Steven, what about you? Defensive tackle.
Yeah, I don't have anything different. It's Dante Stills and Jalen Thornton. But I think that there's a few guys that might get a few different opportunities at that position as well.
All right, moving right along, nose tackle. West Virginia lost Akeem Mesidor, as we all know. This would have been his spot. So filling in first string, I got Jordan Jefferson. Second strings where it kind of gets interesting. Hammond Russell that Bradley mentioned, I could definitely consider him. Mike Lockhart that just came in from Georgia Tech, definitely someone that I think will potentially play there. But I went Edward Vesterinen, Eddie V. I like him a lot. Came on late last season. I think he's going to continue to factor in there. He was out for the spring, so fell back a little bit there, but I think he'll factor right back in fall camp. So I went Jordan Jefferson and Eddie V at nose tackle. Bradley, what about you? What you got nose tackle?
Yeah, no, I'm going Jordan Jefferson. I think he's bound to have a big year this year. He's really got the chance to shine now that Akeem has left. And Jordan Jefferson has looked good last year when he had in his limited role that he had last year behind Akeem. So I think he's set to have a good year if he puts it into it. And after that, I do have Mike Lockhart. I like him from Georgia Tech. He's got a big build. He seems like he's going to really cement down our front line and give us a different look that we just haven't had yet. So I like Mike Lockhart there, and I think that he's going to have a good year with us.
Absolutely. I think he's definitely going to have a good year and be a factor for the Mountaineers. Steven, what about you? Nose tackle?
Actually, yeah, Jordan Jefferson, and then I got Mike Lockhart as well.
I like it. Probably the most likely. I went with the kind of wild card pick. Defensive end, last position here on the defensive front. First string, Taj Alston. I think he's going to have a quietly impressive year. Dante Steele's going to draw a lot of attention, and I think Taj Alston's got potential to break out even more than he already has in the past because of that. Second string, had to go with the hometown guy right down here in Mercer County where we're at, from Bluefield, Mama Mater, Sean Martin, second string. Bradley, what about you, defensive end?
Yeah, I think this is no question. It's Taj Alston and it's Sean Martin. They've been talking Sean Martin up, and people are expecting big things from him. And Taj Alston has been so consistent in his time here. It feels like he's been here for a century. I can't remember a team without having Taj Alston on it, to be honest. So,
true. He feels like he's been here forever.
It feels like he's been here forever. But yeah, I think Sean Martin's ready to make that step, and I'm excited to see him play. I've been looking forward to it since he committed to West Virginia.
Steven, are we going for the hat trick all the same here at defensive end, or you got something different?
Yeah.
I figured. All right, so Dante Steele's, it could be Taj Alston and Sean Martin there at defensive end. Definitely want to shout out Asani Redwood, though. I know, Bradley, you mentioned him the other day, off mic when we were talking about, some guys that could factor in as freshmen, and definitely think he's a guy that could play. Had a lot of sacks last season, and, hasn't been playing football that long. He's got great size, so I think he could factor in there, and we may see him play as a true freshman on that defensive line. Definitely thought.
Yeah, you got him listed in the next section, so I was going to bring him up in that one.
Yeah, that's true. I did.
Because I thought about him in the bandit spot, but that's a good spot for him. So
I have him on there, but I'm like he's like what 250, 260. So I'm like I don't know, do they want a bandit that big? But he's quick, so definitely think he could be one.
But they say Jared Bartlett and Linnell Carr are two completely different builds. So
that's true. They got different bodies. That's one thing I like that some of these positions they got different body types that are both good players. And so talking about that bandit spot now, we'll move on to it. Jared Bartlett and Linnell Carr that Bradley mentioned. They've kind of been battling there. Jared Bartlett, we saw last season, have a really good game, the 3 sacks against VT. So kind of showed his potential. He beefed up some this offseason, still maintained his speed apparently. So I went with Bartlett there and Linnell Carr second. What about you there at Bandit, Brad?
Yeah, with Bandit, I'm going Jared Bartlett, probably number one. I know him and Linnell Carr have been battling it out. They really don't. It's kind of just like what kind of situation do we need them in? Jared Bartlett's not as consistent. Linnell Carr is big, but he doesn't seem to have as many highs. He hasn't really just sank into the system yet. So that's why I wanted to bring up Asani Redwood, a guy out of Georgia that had 19 sacks in one season. And it seems we like to bring a lot of pressure from the bandit position. And at a bigger size like that, if he's got the athleticism, he can really compete with those tackles in the Big 12 and can really wreak havoc on some quarterbacks. So I'm telling you, Asani Redwood's definitely a name to look out for. If he can get in here and fall and really make a name for himself and prove that he's got the body and the athleticism to play right now, and is really going to be able to work and how bad he wants it. So just a name to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Linnell Carr, I think, is a guy that's got a bright future. I know Neil Brown last year said that he's probably the best pure pass rusher on the team, so he could definitely factor in. But me and Bradley both have Jared Bartlett first string, Linnell Carr second string. Steven, what about you?
I actually went Linnell Carr first string and Jared Bartlett.
I like it. I think, like I said, I think, he's got some of the best pass rushing skills on the team, so definitely he could take that, and they're both for sure going to play there. As we'll see with a lot of these spots going through the defenses, 2 guys that'll play, there more so than one's a starter and one's not, because not going to say it's going to be 50-50 in all spots, but a lot of these I think are, including the next one we're going to here at Will linebacker. For me, first string Lance Dixon, second string Exery Lowe, and I think both those guys are going to play a lot. Bradley, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to deviate from that. I just want to say that Lance Dixon, I think, is probably going to be an unsung hero of our defense this year. The guy's got a chance to be big. Former Penn State player, transferred out as a freshman. He's got a chance to be special. So I hope he really makes that jump this year.
Yeah, I'm really high on Lance Dixon. I think he was a top 10 linebacker recruit in the country coming out of high school. So he's got a lot of potential, and I think this could be a breakout year for him for sure. Steven, what about you, Will linebacker?
No, I got Lance Dixon and next reload as well.
For sure. Solidified in stone, moving through the linebacking core now. Mike linebacker. This is a position of interest. West Virginia lost Josh Chandler-Samito. Yeah, a little bit more fun here. Brought in some guys that'll compete at this position. I went Lee Koba first string, and then second string I went Tyreek Austin Cave. I think that come from Miami, he's going to factor in. Almost went with a freshman that I don't know if none of you guys will talk about. He definitely deserves a mention, but we'll see what happens when we get there. But I went Lee Koba and Tyreek Austin Cave first and second string. Bradley, what about you, Mike linebacker?
Yeah, in this one, I think Lee Koba is definitely locked down the starting position. They talk about how much they love watching him play, and I think that he's just impressed the coaches too much to not start. After that, I'm definitely more open. I don't want to submit myself on Tyreek Austin Cave. And I like Trey Latham. I think Trey Latham's got a shot to come in here and try to play. I think he's hungry and he wants to try to play. He's a big recruit, one of our top 5 recruits out of last year's recruiting class. So he's coming in ready to play. So
yeah, definitely think he's got the potential. Steven, what about you? What you got there in the middle at Mike linebacker?
No, obviously I've been a big fan of Lee Koba, so I've got him at my 1, and then I've also got Tyreek Austin Cave as my 2.
Definitely. I like it. Moving right along, let's talk about the spear position, another one of interest here, where West Virginia is going to be bringing in a new starter there, regardless of who it ends up being. But spear position, West Virginia's defense, as we know, kind of a hybrid nickel corner / linebacker / safety, kind of roving all around the defense, and really a guy West Virginia has used with great success in the past. When you look at Jackie Matthews, Tyke Smith, and some guys that played that position. But this year, I'm going with the first string, Jasir Cox, the transfer from North Dakota State. Played linebacker at NDSU, but was all over the field, almost in like that safety type of role. Kind of played that nickel corner for them as well, so really fits right in. Bigger body. Second string, I think, is a guy that'll compete with him there in Davis Mallinger, a guy I'm really high on, probably the fastest player on the team. Athlete recruit, was a high-rated recruit as well. And I think you got 2 different bodies there. You got Jasir Cox, which can kind of be a bigger guy if you need to go against a bigger lineup, and then you can bring in Mallinger if they're kind of spreading you out and need a quicker guy. So I like both those 2 there. That's where I went with on spear. A lot of other guys that can factor in those. So what do you got, Bradley?
Yeah, I'm also starting Jasir Cox. I like him a lot. I like NDSU. He's a champion. He comes in with a good pedigree. We've done good from bringing FCS up to FBS, and we've been really successful with that. So I think Jasir Cox is probably going to come in and submit that starting spot. I noticed you didn't bring him up because St. McLeod would have been starting in this spot. Obviously, he had his incident. There's been much talking about that. Neil Brown has talked about how he didn't really want to talk about it because it's not a football injury, so he doesn't understand the healing process as much. And
right.
He says he's been doing fine. He's been healing at home, but to see what really happens out of that, best wishes to him. But we just don't know what's happening there. So wanted to give him just like a nod of what's going on with St. McLeod because he played last year and people were coming in thinking he was going to start this year. So after that, I think it's definitely Davis Mallinger. People talk about his speed. Neil Brown wants speed in the backfield right now, and I think that's where we're going to get it from. He's going to be able to run with everybody.
I like it. Definitely. St. McLeod, just the uncertainty of it's kind of why I left him out as well. Like I said, he definitely was probably going to be the incumbent starter there before the incident. And so we'll see how that happens, how the healing process goes to see how he factors in there. But definitely think he has the potential too. So definitely got to look for there. Steven, what about you at spear? What do you got?
I went the same. I went Jasir Cox 1 and then Davis Mallinger 2.
Love it. Set it in stone. We all 3 got it. So that's how it's going to be. Mark it down. Left side cornerback, moving into the defensive backfield now. Obviously, Charles Woods solidified as number 1. I think he's going to be one of the best corners in the conference and potentially one of the best corners in the country. I've got that type of hope for Charles Woods. Second string, this is where it gets kind of fun. A lot of guys that are going to factor in here. West Virginia just brought in a lot of transfers, but I'm going with the true freshman, Jacoby Spells. I think he sees the field right away. So I'm going second string, left corner, Jacoby Spells. Bradley, what do you got?
Yeah, I think it's Charles Woods and Jacoby Spells as well. I was going to say he's too good of an athlete to not come in here and get playing time immediately. So I think that he's going to be seeing some snaps first game of the year.
Absolutely, especially with the position that West Virginia needs and him being so high rated. I definitely think he's going to find a way onto the field one way or the other. Stephen, what about you, though? Left side cornerback.
Yeah, same as you guys. Charles Woods and Jacoby Spills.
Love it. That's it. That's how it's going to be then. Right side cornerback, flipping it over to the other side. This is where it's kind of interesting. You had some guys battling throughout the spring, young guys. Can go any way here. I'm going with the transfers as my first and second string. West Virginia just brought in. I went first string Wesley McCormick from James Madison, second string Rashad Ajayi. Don't know, that's just kind of guessing. Really don't know. I think it could be either one there. I think Wilson Lamp also has potential. And of course, Jacoby Spells, don't count him out, as possibly ended up as a starter on this side. Who knows? But I went Wesley McCormick and Rashad Ajayi 1 and 2. What about you, Bradley, on the right side there at cornerback?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of testing and moving at quarterback, really by committee, cornerback by committee, till we really see who's going to be the guys to step up and really earn those jobs. It's not as secure on this side, but I'm going to go with Andrew Wilson Lamp. I thought he had a good, Golden Blue game. I think he's trying to make that jump, and then after that, it's probably the transfers. So,
yeah, Steven, what you got there on the right side at cornerback?
I've actually got Rashad Ajayi at 1 and Wesley McCormick at 2.
Nice. I think that could go either way. I think both those guys were pretty high rated by PFF when they were playing. So like those additions from West Virginia through the transfer portal. Moving on to the backfield, more into the defensive backfield now, a little bit further back as we're talking about the safeties now. Free safety, West Virginia breaking in, new starter here as well. New starter at both safeties position as he lost Sean Mahone and Alonzo Adai. We saw Aubrey Burks there in the spring. But I think I'm going Hershey McLaurin first string, Aubrey Burks second string here. Not that I didn't like Aubrey Burks' play, but I think McLaurin, I like his size and his potential. I think in the spring, he hadn't factored, settled in. He's going to settle in more in training camp, and I think maybe he overtakes that. So I'm predicting Hershey McLaurin 1, Aubrey Burks 2. Bradley, what about you, free safety?
Yeah, I'm sticking right there with you. I think Aubrey Burks looked impressive, and I think that says more about how good Hershey McLaurin's upside is. So, I'm sticking right there with you. But I think that's going to be a position where we were worried, where it might be a little bit more sound than what we were 6 months ago.
Yeah, definitely feel a lot better about it moving forward. Stephen, what about you, free safety? Who you got?
Yeah, same as you guys, Hershey and then Aubrey.
I like it. That's what it's going to be.
These are definitely some names that have not been in Mountaineer mouths yet. So
yeah,
people are going to be talking about these guys because somebody's got to step up and somebody's got to do it, and we just don't know who yet.
For sure, as we go through this, the secondary especially, definitely. Next one, cat safety. Another new starter, as I said, going to be breaking in there. In the spring, we saw Marcus Floyd, the guy that transferred we thought would play corner, actually playing here. Think that stays true. Think he's pretty much solidified himself there as the starter, and I like having a guy with cornerback skills play in that safety spot. So I got Marcus Floyd number 1. Second string, I went with another transfer that West Virginia just brought in. I know he's kind of listed as a cornerback, but could play safety as well, and I think he kind of does that because West Virginia may need him there coming in right away. So I went Jalen Shelton, second string there at cat safety. Bradley, what do you got there?
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to deviate off of you. I think that's pretty much where we're sitting at. I think Marcus Floyd has cemented himself as the starter, as you said. And yeah, I don't think Jalen would come transferring in if he didn't think he could battle for that spot, and I think he's probably going to earn that.
Love it. Steven, what about you?
Yeah, I've got Marcus Floyd and then Jalen Shelton as well.
Beautiful. So we're all together, pretty much throughout the secondary. For the most part, I like to see that. So hopefully we'll see how it shakes out. Last thing to cover is a little bit of special teams, and then we'll get out of here. But kicker, a little bit of a battle going on there. West Virginia brought in Parker Grothaus, mainly for a kickoff specialist, but he's definitely battling there with last year's starter Casey Legg, and then of course Danny King is a guy there as well. I'm sticking with Casey Legg, though. Loved what I saw from him last year. I think he's only going to get better. So I'm going Casey Legg 1, Parker Grothaus 2. Bradley, what do you got?
I don't know. I might go with Parker Grothaus. I think he's got a big upside. Casey Legg is look good, and I love me some Legg, but he did struggle a little bit last year from past 45. His accuracy really dropped after that. Inside of 35, 40, he's spot on, dead on, not missing it. So if he doesn't get that fixed out, then Parker Grothaus can hit that because he is our leg. So
yeah,
if he's accurate, then I could definitely see him taking that starting spot.
I like it. I think it's going to be a battle. Steven, what about you, kicker?
I think that they're actually going to split time, Casey Legg and Grothaus. I think that they're going, between the field goal position and the place kicker position, they're going to split time.
Yeah. I think so too. I think like Bradley said, Casey Legg could handle short, Parker Grotehouse could handle long, and of course I think Parker Grotehouse is going to be the kickoff specialist as well. Other side, punter, West Virginia breaking a new one now. Brought in Oliver Straw from Australia, so I definitely got him first string. But I do like Colton McGee as well. I think that's still a battle that's ongoing. But what about you, Bradley? Who do you got there first and second string at punter?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Colton McGee at first string, solely for the fact of Oliver Straw looked a little young and a little shaky out there in front of so many people. So I'm going to put Colton McGee in the first spot right now, followed by Oliver Straw. But hopefully he works his way into it, the Ollie punter.
I like it. Yeah, you want those Aussie punters. Yeah, those Aussie punters are legit. So hopefully he ends up being nice. Steven, what about you?
No, I've actually got Oliver Straw 1 and then Colton McGee 2. I think, anybody's going to be nervous when they're first in front of people, but he'll come around.
It's going to take some time. Yeah, I think so too. Last thing we want to talk about is kick returner and punt returner. We'll start off with kick returner. And this is just purely guessing, really, because we really don't know who's going to factor in. We've got a big group of names here. So I think it could potentially be any of these guys. And who knows, it could even be someone else that we didn't, choose from our pool of players for each position. But I went, first string Jeremiah Aaron. As I've said, I've talked him up a lot. Like the JUCO guy, I think he's quick twitch. That's so hard to say. I always struggle with it every time. But I went Jeremiah Aaron 1, Davis Mallinger 2. As for my kick returners, Bradley, what about you?
Yeah, I got they started Sam James there, or punt return. Sorry, I guess we're going kick return. Kick return, yeah, I'm probably going Jeremiah Aaron and Davis Mallinger. I think they're going to want the speed.
I like it. Steven, what you got?
I've got. Hold on, I had to pull it back up. I was texting. Sorry.
You're good, bud. Hey, man, I know how that goes. Well, while he's pulling it back up, Bradley, what do you got, punt returner?
Punt returner, I got Sam James. So that's who they had in the spring game. I would not have said that had you asked me before the spring game. I probably would have said Jeremiah Aaron or Grayson Malashevich or Reese Smith. But they started Sam James back there, so I think that they're really wanting to get him more incorporated and giving him a chance to get the ball in his hands. So I'm going to go Sam James number 1, and I'm going to go Grayson Malashevich number 2. I think that they just like the sure hands of Grayson.
I like it. That's I got Sam James number 1 punt returner as well. That's my guy. I think he's gonna have a good year. Hopefully make some plays back there. And then second string I went with Reese Smith because I think he's deceptively quick and I'd like to see him back there. Steven, what about you? Kick returner and punt returner.
For the kick returner, I've got Sam James and Grayson Malashevich, and then punt returner I've actually got Sam James 1, and then I've got Reese Smith 2.
I like it. I like it a lot. So that's what we got. Way too early depth chart projections. Maybe we'll, when the first depth chart of the season comes out, we'll look back and see how well we did or how awful we did. And, that'll be something kind of fun to do for sure moving forward. We'll make this a trend every offseason. Once the roster is close to solidified, we'll hit up some depth chart projections. That being said, we'll get ready to get out here. If you're watching this on the YouTube side, do us a favor. If you haven't already, hit that like button, give us that thumbs up. That helps this video hit the YouTube algorithm, helps it be pushed out to more people. And as always, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer football content out to Mountaineer Nation. If you're listening on the audio side, definitely leave us a rating, review, and just continue to share us there. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it. As I said, we're on Instagram now, Country Roads Webcast, Country Roads Webcast on Facebook, at WVU Country Roads on Twitter. And we also have merch now. I got the shirt on here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm wearing one of the white tees with the Country Roads Webcast logo. Definitely check out our merch store. Link for that will be in the video description if you're watching on YouTube. Also in the show notes if you're listening on the audio side. And then on any of our social media pages, you can click our bio and get to our shop from there. So definitely love you guys to support us, and we appreciate you guys here at Mountaineer Nation when you do so. And that's one of the best ways to do so now with the merch store. That being said, gentlemen, any final thoughts before we close out this edition of the Country Roads Webcast?
No, man, it's been an exciting offseason. About to get into fall ball and about to figure this shit out, I guess.
Yeah. It's going to be a great season. I'm hyped for it. Steven, anything? Got anything?
Nope.
All right. So it was a fun one. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll be back here soon on the CRW podcast. In the meantime, in between time, definitely check us out on the social medias and check us out on YouTube. Talking the Trail. Bradley's going to have recruiting videos coming out. We'll have other updates posted there as we move forward throughout the offseason and heading into an exciting 2022 WVU football season we're all looking forward to. That being said, as always, I'm Jordan for Steven and Bradley. Until next time, let's go Mountaineers.
If you really want to know, then come on, let's go. Take a stroll down those